my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the deepest kind of love, to the sweetest kind of life. Get ready, my soul. Everything I've ever done, everything I've ever seen, everything I've lost or won, everything I've ever dreamed has brought me here to the present moment here, to a new beginning here, and I'm seeing life so clearly now. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the deepest kind of love, to the sweetest kind of life. Get ready, my soul.
Let's take a moment to go deeper together and close our eyes and take a breath. We have come here today to feel a deeper sense of connection with our spirit source and with one another. We have made our way to this place to be lifted up, to be reminded of the power of love, the freedom of forgiveness, the always available opportunity for new beginnings, and the peace available for us in all circumstances. We have come here today to have our souls take flight and gain an aerial perspective that shrinks life's troubles and opens a clearer way, a clearer view of exciting possibilities ahead. We are here today. We move deeper today. We show up today. And so it is.
Here I go, deeper, deeper, deeper than I've ever been before. Here I go, closer, closer, closer to my sacred source. Here I go, deeper, deeper, deeper than I've ever been before.
I make threads into strings, into chords, into cables, just by adding strands of thought. Little tiny thoughts, like fibers crowded together, twisting themselves tighter and thicker, turning into one heavy-duty rope, turning into one huge knot. So, where did I leave that knife again? I had it just a minute ago. I need to cut through this stupid knot and return to beginner mind again.
I am a child of the living God, made in the image of perfect love. All that I am, all I've been given to you, my God, I surrender. I surrender. Child of the living God, made in the image of perfect love. All that I am, all I've been given to you, my God, I surrender. I surrender.
Good morning. So, Friday night, before the amazing rummage sale that was here yesterday, the YOU had a lock-in, and we baked like so many treats and amazing things. And I shouldn't say we, I did not. So, these teens just rocked it out. Like, they made so many things, yeah. So we had a lot of fun. They also helped do the setup, and so they did community service, and these are the best kids ever. I just have to say, I have the best job ever, so yeah. And then I have just one I'm super, super excited announcement. So next Sunday, Rabbi Ted will be leading a workshop during second service for our Uniteens, which is junior high, so 6th grade through 12th grade. So junior high kids and high school kids, and if you have anybody that is in your life that might benefit from a workshop on stress and anxiety and just being present, this is the Sunday for the teens to come next week. I'm really, really excited about this. So, and it's going to be right during the 11 o'clock service downstairs in the YOU room. So all are welcome and invited. So, okay. So please help with the blessing.
Thank you for being our family. Thank you for being our friend. Thank you for blessing and teaching us. God bless you. Amen. All that I am, all I've been given to you, my God, I surrender.
Wow, that's beautiful, isn't it? Thank you, Stacy, for your leadership. What a beautiful crew we have. Yeah. Good morning and welcome to Unity in Lynnwood. We're so glad that each and every one of you are here this morning. I love that this is a place where we can bring the gifts and the gems of our various and unique religious traditions, our faith traditions. We can bring them into this place. And we can bring the gifts and the gems of a life lived with maybe no particular religious or faith tradition whatsoever. It's really about the gems and the gifts, not really from the structures from which they sprung, right? The very best gift that we have is the gem of you sitting here today in the presence you bring. And we're so thankful that you have joined us this morning. Welcome. Today is Prayer Sunday, and our prayer chaplains would like to invite us into the family room after service for what we call a divine wholeness session. This divine wholeness session is a silent and sacred time where we open ourselves to the movement of the Holy Spirit within us, and you are welcome and encouraged to join us after the service. Myrtle and Charles Fillmore are the co-founders of Unity, and they were practicing this way of prayer that includes denials and affirmations. Denials are really closing the door to that which no longer serves us in our life anymore. Affirmations are opening the window to all possibilities and that which is our heart's desire. They both had words to inspire us on these denials and affirmation. Here are the words of Charles Fillmore. We must carefully choose what thoughts we are going to loose in the mind, let go, and what thoughts we are going to bind, to bring in, for they will come into manifestation into our affairs. Myrtle Fillmore says this, we have the very decided part. We are to cease worrying and being anxious and thinking and speaking of the past. We are to concentrate all our attention upon the truth of God and the truth of our own being, upon the very things we would see taking place in our lives. This is not a place that is about pious perfection, period. This is a place about imperfect progress, about moving forward in our faith together. Today's denial and affirmation, we're going to practice a little bit differently. I'm going to have you take a stand on this, whether physically or in your heart, and I'm going to go ahead and say the denial part. And then you're going to answer it with the affirmation part, and we're going to do that 3 times. Are you with me? Okay, so I'm going to take the denial, you take the affirmation. I am not pressed back by what has been. I am pulled forward by what can be. I am not pressed back by what has been.
I am pulled forward by what can be.
I am not pressed back by what has been. By what can be, and so it is. Take a minute to greet each other.
Everybody you meet, everybody get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Let us be reminded of who we've come to be. We are love, we are one big family. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, 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 yeah, yeah.
Oh, stay up with me. Take these words of Charles Fillmore, words of invocation. They begin as follows. I am together. I am now. I am now in the presence of life itself. I am now in the presence of life itself and immersed in the Holy Spirit of life, love, and wisdom. I acknowledge your presence and your power. In your divine wisdom, now erase my mortal limitations, and from your pure substance of love, bring into manifestation my world, according to your perfect law. And so it is. And so it is. And so it is. Small group ministry. Basically, it's an invitation to move in. The students of Myrtle Group met this morning at 9 o'clock. We would invite you to take advantage of the Caregivers Support Group next Sunday following the 11 o'clock service. The LGBTQ group, if you don't know what that means, it's probably not your group. Woo! What was that?
Put it in colors.
Put it in colors. I love it. Good morning, Unity in Lynnwood. If you are an active, eligible member of Unity in Lynnwood, you're eligible for service on our Board of Trustees beginning in January. We would invite you to read the job description found at the Welcome and Information Station, thanks to the two of you who are right there, and to complete the application. If you would like to nominate another, we do ask that you secure their permission prior to doing so. It circumvents any number of awkward telephone conversations. Trustees are elected for 3-year terms of service at the annual meeting every October. We would invite you to join your prayer chaplains for Unity's annual World Day of Prayer. It's an evening service, Thursday, September 12th, 7 o'clock p.m. Come early for a community dinner. We ask only that you register in the back. Every service has an ambassador. This person's role is to support you in your exploration of this ever unfolding, evolving idea we call Unity in Lynnwood. So if you do have a question about what we believe, about what we teach, about the resources available to you, please engage your 11 o'clock ambassador in conversation. His name is Lynn Burton Harden. Will you wave to these kind people, please? Lynn. Oh, you know what? You may have noticed of late that I've given myself some creative latitude. I've given myself a little bit of latitude to teach whatever I feel inspired to teach on a particular Sunday. Now, as opposed to carefully crafted series that span weeks and weeks and are complete with sequential, escalating concepts designed to lead us towards some grand, climactic, spiritual revelation, I've chosen to request a higher level of trust from you, especially if you bring friends, because neither you nor I can know before, say a Saturday afternoon, whether we will find ourselves dancing through the wisdom of Christianity or Confucianism or Captain Kangaroo. We just can't know. Now, that's not to say that I won't offer another carefully crafted series. In fact, in mid-September, consider a fall series that I've entitled the Kindergartner's Code. For the longer I stay in this body, you see, the more I come to agree with the writer Robert Fulghum. The longer I stay in this body, the more I come to agree that a human incarnation is an experience of forgetting. But as we embark upon this grand adventure, we have a rich and inherent knowledge about how to navigate the world of human relationships, the world of stuff and things, the world of magic and mystery. But over time, we find ourselves lulled into a forgetfulness of those rich and inherent tendencies toward curiosity and friendship and honesty, generosity, imagination, creativity, in lieu of of a dog-eat-dog paradigm perpetuated by the tall people. A dog-eat-dog paradigm which espouses caution and enmity and manipulation, lack and cynicism and limitation instead. So I would invite you to join us in mid-September, and let me ask you the questions. What might it mean to return to curiosity? To remember friendship, to remember honesty? What might it mean to remember generosity? To remember imagination, to remember creativity? What might it mean to awaken from that forgetfulness through a series that I've called The Kindergartner's Code?
Listen more often to things than to beings. Listen more often to things than to beings. 'Tis the ancestors' breath when the fire's voice is heard. 'Tis the ancestors' breath in the voice of the waters. Those who have died have never, never left. The dead are not under the earth. They are in the rustling trees. They are in the groaning woods. They are in the crying grass. They are in the moaning rocks. The dead are not under the earth. So listen more often to things than to beings. Listen more often to things than to beings. 'Tis the ancestors' breath when the fire's voice is heard. 'Tis the ancestors' breath in the voice of the waters. Those who have died have never, never left. The dead have a pact with the living. They are in the woman's breast. They are in the wailing child. They are with us in our homes. They are with us in the crowd. The dead have a pact with the living. So listen more often to things than to beings. Listen more often to things than to beings. 'Tis the ancestors' breath when the fire's voice is heard. 'Tis the ancestors' breath in the voice of the waters.
Woo! Stellar. I agree. Can we do it again? Redo. As Ken reminded us at 9 o'clock, we are a culture that celebrates the redo. We celebrate the redo. What was your terminology? No pious perfection here, only
Imperfect progress.
imperfect progress. What do you think? What do you think? Yeah. You know, you and I could probably take this offline. I don't know. Rise, Macon, thank you. Matthew Wilson, thank you. This is the dawning of a new idea. The dawning of a new idea. There is, my friends, more to come. Now, this is how it plays out in ministry. See if you can relate to it. It goes something like this. A new minister takes a community in total trust. And total trust is relatively easy for a new minister because many times that's all a new minister has. I mean, as a new minister, you don't often have years of leadership decisions, effective and not so effective, to draw from as legalities and technologies and tendencies find their way to your doorstep. And you don't often have years of human relations, healthy and not so healthy, to draw from as addiction and codependency and projection find their way to your doorstep. And you don't often have years of spiritual exploration, individual and collective, to draw from as disappointment and despair and debate. Let us not forget debate. Find their way to your doorstep. But over time, those years of leadership decisions are accumulated. Those years of human relations are experienced. Those years of spiritual exploration are navigated. And over time, the total trust of that new minister, a total trust in nothing more than an illogical knowing, a total trust in nothing more than an undeniable pull, a total trust in nothing more than an irresistible inspiration, a total trust in nothing more than a next idea, is displaced by a total trust in that accumulated experience. Over time, a total trust in something right here and right now is displaced to a total trust in something out there and out then. And even as the worldly self of us celebrates this rising into the wisdom and the ways of the world, the spiritual self of us mourns this falling from the wisdom and the ways of spirit. Said another way, having nothing to lose isn't the problem. Spiritually speaking, having nothing to lose is a place of infinite spiritual power, because having nothing to lose tends to rend us open to the very highest selves of us in a way that daily life quite simply doesn't tend to do. It's like having a difficult experience. You see, Marianne Williamson says it this way, and I paraphrase: difficult experiences tend to return us to our spiritual knees where we should have been all along. So while having nothing to lose and while having difficult experiences are uncomfortable for us, let us not be quick to label those shadowy valleys, if you will, as bad. Let us not be quick to hurdle ourselves through those shadowy valleys so quickly that we miss the gifts they would impart. So no, having nothing to lose is not the problem, because having nothing to lose tends to rend us open to those highest parts of ourselves in a way that daily life simply doesn't tend to do. Having something to lose, now that is where we have to be careful. That's where you have to be careful, because having something to lose tends to close us to the highest selves of us as we subtly come into the belief that the creative source that gave rise to the thing in the first place is inadequate to give rise to something even greater going forward. And as we subtly come into this belief that the creative source that gave rise to the thing in the first place, now this thing might be a job, it might be a business, a pattern, an idea, it might be a healing, a formula, it really doesn't matter. As we subtly come into this belief that the creative source that gave rise to the thing in the first place is inadequate to give rise to something even greater going forward, then we start to think that we have to protect the thing itself. And lost is that total trust in nothing more than an illogical knowing, that total trust in nothing more than an undeniable pull, that total trust in nothing more than that irresistible inspiration, that total trust in nothing more than that next idea. Having something to lose is the problem because, again and again and again, our audacity is sacrificed on the altar of our attachment. And again and again and again, our divine genius is sacrificed on the altar of our human fear. I wrote an essay many years ago, and it offered, and I quote, "Have you ever heard of beginner's luck?" Well, of course you have. But luck really has nothing to do with the phenomenon, while an appropriate understanding of power has everything to do with it. You see, beginners know that they, in and of themselves, possess inadequate skill. They know that they, in and of themselves, possess inadequate knowledge and inadequate experience for the task at hand. Beginners, by default, have to welcome a wisdom beyond their personal wisdom for their success. And anytime we welcome a wisdom beyond our personal wisdom for our success, that wisdom responds. But as the ego tempts us to believe that the wisdom behind our success is our own, we begin to repeat the tactics of yesterday, to lower our risks, to guard our successes, ultimately to abandon the very wisdom from which our success arose in the first place. And we end up symbolically prostrate before the divine where we should have been all along. There is no such thing as beginner's luck. There is only beginner's mind. There is only the understanding that an infinite and unlimited mind sources you in every moment, and a willingness to surrender the ego to this mind in all affairs, end quote. It was a simple train ride from Manchester to London that changed the literary world forever. After living in Manchester, she married a man in Portugal who would become the father of her daughter in a marriage that dissolved as quickly as it began. And through her single parenthood, and through her inability to get a job, and through her enrollment into the welfare system, and through her battles with depression, this would-be writer's life continued its spiral into discomfort. "I had to fight my realistic side," she wrote. After completing that first book, it was 5 years into that spiral. It was a book which would be declined by the first 12 of the best names in publishing before being accepted by the 13th for a meager sum, by the way. On the off chance that the world was ready to meet this Harry Potter character. Now, I think it's a fair question. Why didn't J.K. Rowling, and yes, it's Rowling, do not give me that look. That's how she teaches. She says rolling rhymes with bowling. So I'm there. I can grab that. Why didn't J.K. Rowling give rise to Harry Potter before her spiral into discomfort? I think it's because having nothing to lose opened her to the very highest self of her in a way that daily life quite simply didn't tend to do. Now, I don't need to glorify difficult times. I don't think we have to hit bottom before we turn around, and I don't think we have to forget before we remember. But for some, it does seem to be the way. So look, from the earliest cave etchings, we know that the human creature has a long history of imagining ultimate reality, if you will, in its own image. The early hunters imagined gods of stamina. The early farmers imagined gods of weather. The early pagans imagined gods of fertility. The early states imagined gods of war and might and conquest. And this is to be expected, really, for the human is hardwired to project self outward. And yet, in our awareness that the human is hardwired to project self outward, well, we can finally free ultimate reality from our own smallness. We can finally free God, if you will, from finite matters such as stamina and weather and fertility and might. So for us in unity, we would say that ultimate reality, that God is infinite mind. And the quantum physicists would agree. They would say the same thing, that ultimate reality is really more like a giant thought than a giant thing. As long as it wasn't me, I'm good. I don't know. So for us in unity, we would say that ultimate reality, that God is infinite mind, and as such, ideas are its currency. And understand, this is not new. This is an ancient construct intuited by civilizations predating Christianity by centuries. So in a very real sense, unity would suggest that you cannot be saintlier than when you place a total trust in infinite mind. You cannot be saintlier than when you place a total trust in little more than that illogical knowing, a total trust in little more than an undeniable pull, a total trust in little more than that irresistible inspiration, total trust in little more than your next idea. And unity would suggest that you cannot be worldlier than when you displace that total trust onto anything else. In a more traditional setting, I might be saying that you cannot be saintlier than when you listen to God. And in a more traditional setting, I might be saying that you cannot be worldlier than when you listen to everything else. I have to wonder if that's what the rabbi meant when he taught that it's easier for a rich man to pass through the eye of a needle than to experience heaven. I'm going to have to tell you, it makes some sense to me. After all, it's so tempting to set infinite mind aside when we get the Cadillac. And it's so tempting to set infinite mind aside when we get the answer. And it's so tempting to set infinite mind aside when we get the healing. And so the questions of the morning become, how do I create the space to entertain illogical knowings of infinite mind today? How do I create the space to entertain the undeniable pulls of infinite mind today? How do I create the space to embrace the irresistible inspirations of divine mind today? And how do I create the space to invite the next ideas of infinite mind today? Let us dance with those questions together in an experience of reflection, a time of meditation, a period of consideration. It will last 3 or 4 minutes. Let's close those outer eyes together. Let's make our bodies comfortable. Allowing perhaps my voice to become your own. Resisting any temptation to judge, to assess, to weigh, to compare, to contrast, to solve. Let us ask. How might I create the space to entertain the undeniable poles of infinite mind today? Willing to place myself in the path of illogical knowings today. Willing to give way to irresistible inspirations today. Ready to cultivate a softness to my next idea today. I'm willing to stand at the very leading edge of a mind that is constantly thinking itself into being today. I'm willing to be at the cutting edge of genius itself, by whatever name we choose to call it. So perhaps to those illogical knowings, we become willing to say, here I am. And if so, perhaps to those undeniable poles, we become ready to say, here I am. If so, perhaps to those irresistible inspirations, we find a place of being able to say, here I am, and to that next idea. Find ourselves ready to say, here I am, here I am, here I am.
Here I am, a vessel to be used. Spirit needs of me, I will be, I will be, I will be. Here I stand. My heart is here to serve. Wherever love is leading me, I will go, I will go, I will go. Here I am, a vessel to be used. Whatever Spirit needs of me, I will be, I will be, I will be. Here I stand. Here I stand. My heart is here to serve. My heart is here to serve wherever love is leading me. Wherever love is leading me, I will be, I will be, I will be, I will be. Here I stand. Here I stand. My heart is here to serve. My heart is here to serve wherever love is leading me. Wherever love is leading me, I will go. I will go. I will go. I will go. Here I am. Here I am, a vessel to be used. A vessel to be used. Whatever Spirit, whatever Spirit needs of me, I will be, I will be, I will be, I will be.
Time of remembering simply by saying, and so it is, and so it is, and so it is. Amen.
Thank you, Dr. Richard. This place, your message, your ministry, this music are like a tuning fork to my own alignment with Spirit. I think this resonates with all you here. Thank you so much. Getting tuned up is a good thing. Yes. This is the time where we have the opportunity to give. And as we prepare our tithes and our love offerings, I just want to extend a heartfelt thank you for all the generous gifts that are given to support this community, this ministry, this message from those who are live here in seats today and those who are joining us in our online community as well. Thank you so much for your gifts. Let's join in this affirmation of these gifts given today together. I give freely and fearlessly, fulfilling the law of giving and receiving. Thank you for your gifts.
Blessed always, blessed always, for the arms of God surround us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say amen.
Let's bless these gifts given today. We infuse these gifts with love. We dedicate these gifts to possibility. We release these gifts in faith. And so it is. We love to say hello to anyone who might be joining us for the first time on a Sunday morning. We do that just by having you put your hand in the air if you are new, and we'll give you some applause. Anyone visiting us for the first time today? Nice to see you. Hi. We're so glad you are here today. As you may have noticed in the seat back in front of you, there is a newcomer's information card giving you more information about our community. And there's also, if you are new today, or you're newer, or you just need to update some of your contact information, there's a Stay in Touch card. If you put your information on that, that will result in just a couple emails each month, both that provide inspiration to our lives and information about what's going on in our community. There's also a DVD in the information rack just to the left of the door as you leave the sanctuary that gives you a visual about things happening in our community. It also has a card in it infused with some of the things that we stand on, like we seek to discover and share spiritual practices which are repeatable and reliable and infuse these spiritual practices into every area of our daily living. So I invite you to grab one of those if you'd like. And if you're new today, we'd like to invite you to come to our gift shop, and you can pick up a complimentary copy of the Daily Word. And for you new today and everyone else, you're invited to come to our Friendship Hall after service to have a time of refreshments, and hospitality is provided by our Board of Trustees today, and all donations are given to our UIL Building Fund. We have several announcements. And for details and registrations for all of these events, you can visit our welcome and information station in the back of the sanctuary. Today's flowers are dedicated to Reverend Nina with love from Kathy Chalmers and from her loving volunteer coordinator, Michelle Van Eyck. Happy birthday, Nina. If you'd like to make a flower donation, please do so in our gift shop for a suggested love offering of only $10. Interfaith at UIL presents Death Cafe on Saturday, September 7th at 10 a.m. At a Death Cafe event, we gather to eat yummy food and talk about death with the intention of helping us make the most of our lives now. As the saying goes, talking about death won't kill you. Reverend Karuna and Father Dan Duval facilitate. And stay for Creative Cafe at 1 p.m. Connect, share, learn, and activate your creative potential. Whether wood, glass, pen, paper, canvas, yarn, rocks, or beyond, bring your supplies and creative mind. Gloria Pulliam facilitates. Thank you, Gloria. Do you need a ride or a room share or something like that? Please consider using our community support and community bulletin board in our Friendship Hall. And register online for Sacred Brothers Working Miracles, a men's retreat from September 13th to 15th at Camp Houston. Over many years, Brother Bob Trask has guided thousands of men into a mindfulness that is surprisingly beautiful and life-changing. Through both modern and ancient rituals and processes, we will renew our bonding as a brotherhood and together become gentle warriors of light. All are welcome, and to be clear, gender identity over physical anatomy is how we roll here. All good things happening here at Unity in Lynnwood can be found in your printed program by visiting our Facebook page or our app, or visiting us online at unityinlynnwood.org. Brother Richard.
I remember being one of those new ministers, and the early conversations with the platform assistants went something like this. You know, by the time I utter a first word, I really want to know that I've been to church. And man, do they do that or what? Yeah, you too. Reverend Nina Clark, happy birthday. You know, for those who have ever watched our streaming, you know that every event is hosted. People are greeted as they enter the room. There is an authentic sense of community that is shared by those who join us from abroad. I wonder how interesting it is for them to see the back of your head knowing that you're chatting with them. I mean, these are things that just occur to me. I absolutely love being with you. I want you to know that. I cherish our time together. I cherish our time together. It is an honor, it's a privilege for me to bask in the nobility of you as soul. You good? We've been closing our service in a different way of late. It's with a time of sung blessing. So if you would like to stand, you're welcome to do so. You're welcome to remain seated. As we begin, if there's a first name of any soul you would like to invite into this closing knowing, please just speak that name now. So on behalf of the soul who stands to our right this morning, on behalf of the soul to our left, what an honor, what a privilege to walk together. On behalf of those before us, those behind us, what an honor it is to walk together. And yes, on behalf of those represented by the names who were spoken, and on behalf of all who have turned anything of a spiritual ear, anything of a spiritual knowingness to this conversation, we say welcome. We offer this closing prayer on your behalf. We stand in our full knowing of all that we hold God to be. We stand in our knowing of a sufficiency to any apparent need. We stand in our knowing of a harmony that longs only to press itself into realization through human hands and human hearts. It exists to prove itself through us. We stand in our deep, deep knowing of a wisdom that is sufficient to any sense of confusion or incompletion. And yes, we stand on your behalf, on behalf of each other. We stand in our heightened awareness of life itself, life upon whose currents we have this temporary experience, and life upon whose currents we will one day go forward. This is where we stand. It's the prayer we extend. It is the position we assume. It is the gift we give. Let us sing this blessing.
May the long time sun shine upon you. All love surround you, and the pure light within you guide your way on. Guide your way on. Guide your way on.
As we close this time of being together, this time of Holy Communion, simply by saying yet again, and so it is, and so it is, and so it is, and amen. Have a beautiful week, Unity in Lynnwood.